Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023 date. It is about noon here along the west coast, where we're expecting a rather cold winter storm coming in, bringing a bunch of snow here to the area. Latest activity shows a 2.5 earthquake into the region of Turkey. Still seeing some activity there ramping up as we speak. All right, let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here across the map, and looking at some activity really ramping up out into the Texas region today and overnight, just outside of the Pecos, Texas area. They did have a 4.0 coming in just after midnight, as well as a 4.2 prior to that. 6.6 kilometers deep and 7.2 for the four-pointer. Definitely a noticeable uptick in movement out here across this area of Texas. And again, this sits within, I keep saying it on a lot of my updates, it sits out here in a field of wastewater disposal well injection sites. Notice this little pond, these little ponds out here amongst many of these operations. They're all over the place, but specifically it seems to be really kicking up within this confined area just south of these fields. So there's a couple roads that do lead out here. A nearby wastewater pond down here just to the south of this activity as well. So things really kind of kicking up out there into the region of Texas today. Further up to the north, one earthquake outside of the Enid area this morning. Looks like just around the Medford area. That does sit out there in a wealth of oil fields as well. Numa oil field, all sorts of oil fields around the Medford, Oklahoma area. One earthquake into the New Madrid zone, it looks like, late last night, 1.7, about 10 kilometers deep. Looking at the west coast, aside from the weather coming in, a little bit of activity across the Cascade Mountains into the state of Washington today, and a little bit more microquake activity up here around Mount Rainier. We have been seeing a little bit of seismic increase here into that area over the past 24 hours. Looks like that's working its way down into the region around Mount St. Helens as well. Into Northern California, did see some activity south of Eureka, 3.2, 14 kilometers deep. A little bit of activity also around the Coast Range. Some smaller quakes here around the Covelo area. No major movement to report across Northern California for now, although just a little bit sizable uptick around the northwest coast there. Movement outside of Mina, Nevada kicking up here, including a 3.5 early this morning and also a 2.3 just outside of Tonopah. This area does see quite a bit of swarming on occasion. This area did see a 6-pointer back in 2019, I believe was the year. All right, Southern California, looking at the San Andreas Fault up here south of the bay, relatively quiet. A couple small microquakes there today into the area of the creeping segment. But Southern California is kind of backed off here. Only a handful of small earthquakes listed up here on the map. Got about 14 showing up. But Southern California looks to be our quiet spot for now. Yellowstone National Park up here in Wyoming. A little small speck of a quake. Want to see what we got here for the latest data. And doesn't look like there's a whole lot. Not seeing too much activity. Not for sure what this is. I got a sequence of 3 readings at a time. It looks like maybe some type of environmental noise interference out there. It's not really showing up across any of the main seismographs within the within the region. This one's kind of picking it up a little bit, but I'm not 100% certain what that is. It's just, it looks a little odd. It's not like earthquake activity, and it's too consistent, too I can't think of the word for it, but doesn't look like anything of importance. Just some type of interference showing up on that graph, a couple of the graphs there. All right, let's see what else we have here across the area of Alaska. Getting some movement across the Cook Inlet and around the Trident. I think this is the Trident Volcano. Just around there, a little bit of small microquake activity. It's been off and on here over the past few months, but no noticeable uptick around the volcanoes currently. Western portion of the Pacific Plate, all relatively quiet except for one earthquake from, when was this? Looks like this, well, yesterday. Onto the Izu Trench. This area has gone quiet again today. Let's see what we got here for EMSC. Awfully quiet, goodness. 5.6 came into the area around the Indonesia area this morning, early this morning. 5.6, 124 kilometers deep along the subduction zone around the Banda Sea. Java Trench fairly quiet except for a more recent quake up here on the northern end, 4.6 at 37 kilometers deep. And according to the EMSC model, that looks like that's about the only activity along the Java Trench today. A little bit of movement up north around the Molucca Sea. Australia did see a 2.6 coming in. Let's see if I can bring this up here for a second. Stand by. I know USGS ain't going to show it. Something's going on with my clicker lately. 9 kilometers deep. And that was being reported by the Geoscience Australia Agency. Definitely not a big earthquake at all, but a little on the odd side. Australia does get some earthquakes on occasion down there, but not too often, specifically away from the plate boundaries like that. New Zealand, aside from that 4.6 yesterday, I don't really see anything else popping up here on the model. Looks like there was a 3.8 coming in here to the GeoNet server. Let me see exactly where this is at. Off the coast of the North Island area, 3.8 coming in earlier this morning, 12 kilometers deep. But overall, not a whole lot of activity currently taking place there along that Kermadec Trench or areas north. 4.8 came in, when was that? That was just after midnight, I believe. Yeah, just after midnight, 4.8. 520 kilometers deep for that earthquake, relatively deep earthquake into the Tonga Trench. So a little spotty today. If you look at regional earthquake activity out here, kind of just spread out all over the place. Turkey still is seeing quite a bit of movement as far as anything major goes. Only seeing a handful of 4-pointers there just prior to midnight last night. Not a whole lot of activity across the Mediterranean Sea. But here on the EMSC globe, it will definitely show some of the smaller quakes around Turkey area. And, I'd say less than a handful of smaller quakes across the region to the west. Nothing big going on across the Atlantic Ocean currently. And I think safe to say that the Western Pacific looks like things, well, got a 3.4 coming in now to the Philippines area. But for the most part, things are relatively calmer across the Western Pacific over here, with more activity east along the Eastern Pacific and adjacent plates. For example, the Middle America Trench here, showing quite a few 4s across the region, and also the South America region as well, quite a few 2s, 3s, and 4s. The USGS not really showing too much activity here across the Middle America Trench, although there's a lot more than what's taking place here. I'm really surprised they're showing that 2.9. It's a little odd. But either way, as noted on the globe, activity on the uptick across the Middle America Trench and the South America region. These guys only showing 2 of them, so it doesn't really look all that active. But until you look at these smaller quakes here, quite a few 3s, and it looks like maybe a couple 4s that are being left out by the USGS as well. So noticeable uptick here across the West Coast, down through the South America region for sure. Let's see here. Where was that? 3.5. Was that the one out in Nevada? Let's see here. Yes, it was. That was the one from just a little bit ago. But we'll continue to watch this and see how it plays out. Broad scale activity definitely picking up in that region. All right, let me see here. We're going to check space weather real quick, and then we're going to go into weather because that's kind of a big thing right now with the major winter storm heading to the west coast area. Space weather activity did see another M flare kick off overnight. Looks like a little M2.6 or so, somewhere around there. A little bit of sparking coming up right now as we speak, and it looks like it is coming from. Kind of looks like it's coming from this regional sunspot up here. Let's see what we got here for the magnetic structure of these guys. And this one, goodness, this is our X flare sunspot from a few days ago. Popped off the strongest flare in solar cycle 25. It is now Earth directed completely, but a little bit disorganized in terms of the complex structure that it could harbor and what it did harbor a few days ago, last week. But we'll continue to watch that one. May pose a threat for an M flare or so. Also down south here, getting a little differences in the magnetic structure with that one. And I think the main culprit is going to be this sunspot right here. It has produced a couple M flares already, and it does look fairly dynamic and set up for some further flaring. That area up there, 3229. Well, they're still showing 3229 harboring a beta gamma class magnetic structure, with 3234 as a beta class. Overall threat, 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 50, X flare at 15, a little elevated there. No major coronal holes facing us, not yet anyway. We're still kind of watching this 79 here. The most recent imagery shows it a little bit more shifted since that last update. We'll watch this as it rotates further directly in view with the Earth. Alrighty, weather models out here. This is going to be pretty crazy here for the West Coast. I was just looking at this a little bit ago, and there's going to be we already have some very low snow kicking up around the Arcata area along the coast. I believe those folks are underneath a winter storm warning. Here in the Sacramento Valley, we are underneath a winter storm watch. Now, it looks as though Thursday night into Friday morning, the time frame is going to be a little on the, let's see here. This is the GFS model. I want to show you guys the HRR model. This is the more accurate model in terms of, I don't even know if it's going to let me show. This has been updated recently. Darn it. Let me see if I can go back to the previous run. There we go. And then we'll check out the other one a little bit later tonight. But it does show right around the early morning hours of Friday, the majority of the northern Sacramento Valley with snow. The blue listed up here on the map is snow. Chico sits right about here where the in the middle of the X. Redding, of course, up north here. They're definitely going to be getting snow. Anderson, Red Bluff, Corning. And this is going to be, this is going to be a very super cold system. This model, this specific model, shows it snowing almost all the way down to Sacramento. So when the HRR model shows this much snow over a broad area with no rain in sight over Northern California, basically just all snow, that means the possibility of this ringing true is way up there. How much accumulation is iffy. There was a, let's see here, let me check the windy app real quick and show you guys, because this is going to be a big storm. This is about the best chance of snow that I've seen here for the Sacramento Valley in probably over 20 years or so. Let's go to the HRR model. Again, the HRR is the most accurate model in terms of predicting weather, rainfall, wind, pressure, stuff like that, and snowfall. So this is the northern Sacramento Valley here over the next 48 hours, it looks like. And specifically for the Chico area, right around Chico area, looks like we could be getting maybe an inch or two of snowfall up in the foothills here, a lot more around Paradise, and of course as you get higher. But the brunt of the system looks like it's going to stick to the west side of the valley. That includes areas around Orland, Willows, where it's forecasting, and now this is the HRR model again, like 7 to 8 inches of snowfall. And even down into Colusa County, it looks like. So I'm kind of interested to see how this is going to play out Thursday night into Friday morning. It looks like the main time frame is going to be between 6 and 9 a.m. Friday. Over here along the west coast, northern California coastline, goodness, these mountains are going to get soaked with a lot of snow. And not for sure how long it's going to stick around. Could cause some flooding issues if it starts to melt. But areas around Eureka, Garberville, up to Crescent City all have a good shot of seeing some snow. Now this is basically a double whammy in terms of cold systems. Let me show you guys here real quick. Yeah, let me bring up the a symbol. Hold on a second. This is, stand by, I made this a little bit too big. That'll work. So right now we have that low pressure system here. Looks like it's centered off towards the Utah area, Nevada, eastern Nevada. And this is just going to kind of spin around. And that trough right here, this is going to be the one that's going to create that further deepening in this low pressure system here that's going to bring the colder air down out of the northeast from basically from Canada area, and going to re-enhance the already cold system that we have in place right now. It's 55 degrees, but last night it got down to about 27 here, just outside the Chico, California area. And this is going to be the one that could bring us a bunch of snow or a bunch of disappointment. I think we're more leaning towards a bunch of snow here for Northern California. Again, this is one of the better setups I've seen for the West Coast in terms of snow. A lot of people don't like the snow. I get it. But I'm going to be up all night watching it and taking note and, of course, documenting it, because we don't see snow all that often here in the Sacramento Valley around Chico or Glenn County area. All right, looks like we had a 3.2 coming in just a little bit ago, kicking up out here into the Clear Lake volcanic field. This area has been rather active as well recently with earthquake activity, and again, this region does see a good amount of earthquake activity on any given day. There is a huge operation out here. You can see some of these facilities. These are hydrothermal plants, and they inject raw sewage down below the heated surface. This area is heated below. The Clear Lake volcanic field, Mount Konocti, is still very active in terms of the geological functions below. And humans have found a way to create some energy by getting rid of some waste, so to speak. So check it out. I think the folks that still operate that is Calpine Hydrothermal Operations. All right, guys, I am going to jump off here, and we'll check that most recent updated weather model tonight, and see if anything's changed. Probably not, though, but almost all of the weather models currently I've been looking at are in agreement with snow falling down to the valley floor Thursday night into Friday morning. So It's gonna be a dandy of a storm. I'll be up covering it. I may try to sleep a little bit early Thursday night and get up super early Friday morning so I can document this and maybe go out and play in it. Not even joking. Last time I seen snow out here was 21 years ago. 21 years ago here in the Sacramento Valley. Not all the area of the valley got covered in snow, just portions around Colusa County. Alrighty. Have a good Wednesday. We'll chat at you guys a little bit later on tonight. Stay safe out there, everyone.